Hey everyone, Happy New Year. I'm Shawnta Jackson, and my purpose in life is to help people to help themselves and others. I hope all is well and that you are all in a safe and happy and safe space. Today, I'm bringing on a special guest. Her name is Frances Dupree, and I'll read her bio to you. Frances Dupree is a child of God who is a wife and mother of nine beautiful children. Through faith, she has overcome depression, poverty, suicidal thoughts, and abuse. She is the author of Marrying Outside of God's Will, an inspirational coach who helps women who have given up on hope to discover their purpose. And Frances also hosts Transparency Tuesdays on YouTube, where she shares her story and she welcomes guests to share their stories about how their lives have been transformed. And you can learn more about Frances at her website, godswillministries.com. And I'll take this time to bring Frances on. Hey, Frances.
Hello.
Hey.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining me. Thank you so much. How was your New Year's Eve and how are you so far?
New Year's Eve was pretty good. We spent it in Vegas. That was my first time spending New Year's Eve in Vegas. So it was exciting. It was a little different because of COVID. So, they had restrictions and stuff. But for the most part, it was good.
Okay.
And then my son's birthday is on the 1st. So we say Happy New Year and then we say Happy Birthday all at the same time. So it's always exciting.
Perfect. That's good. And so what city are you in right now?
Oh, I'm back at home. I'm in Victorville, California.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if you lived in Las Vegas or in California because we have
No, I'm a Cali girl.
yeah, we have that mutual connection with Shawnta Gibson. And so I wasn't sure where you were from or not. And so, as I've always mentioned, my purpose in life is to help people to help themselves and others. I'm glad that you are in a safe and healthy space. I actually myself, I choose. I'm voluntarily quarantining or self isolating. I just do the bare minimum. Go to the store, kind of stay back and stay safe. I decline parties and different things like that. And one of the reasons why I do that is because I feel like I have like a personal responsibility, especially with this platform that I am building. Um, I just feel like I want people to trust me,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm building trust, and I don't want to break that trust, and I don't want to. I mean, we're none of us are perfect, and you can go out and you can be safe and you can practice safe protocol. But for me, I just choose not to do certain things because I want people to trust what it is that I have to say. I have a lot of important things, social topics, health, wellness, spirituality, different topics that I bring forth, and I don't want to ruin it or make some type of mistake to where people are kind of like, well, I don't want to listen to anything that she has to say because she says this, she does this. Speaking to someone today, and we were talking about how Diddy threw a party in Miami, but
Oh,
right. So we were talking about that, and I was just like, wait a minute, this is the same person that was saying, like, respect the black vote, and you're throwing a party in Miami. I don't think that's good. A good demonstration of leadership, but
right.
kind of ranting, and I digress. We are streaming live on Facebook and YouTube, so everyone, please check in. Whoever's watching, check in with your city and state and say hi. So, Frances, tell me a little bit about you. I did read your bio, and I am aware that you have gone through certain trials and tribulations in your life, but it appears that you are overcoming them and you're sharing how you've overcome them. So go ahead and tell us a little bit about you.
So when everyone asks me that, I don't even know where to begin. But I guess you could say I have relearned who I am. I've relearned the things that I like. I lost myself at one point in time, and it was very hard to identify myself as just Frances, aside from wife, mom, friend, student, so forth. So Francis is someone trans that is transforming and learning every day, learning different things about myself, learning um what is peaceful for me, what is not peaceful, what triggers my temper, what doesn't trigger my temper. I'm learning that, well, I've always known that I love people, but the most important thing that I'm learning and why I have Transparent Tuesday is that being transparent, it helps other people because we all, in some form or fashion, end up going through things that are similar. And a lot of times nobody wants to talk about it. So I'm learning that I thought that I didn't like to talk and, be public and stay behind the scenes, but I actually do like to share. I like to talk about God. I like to talk about the things that He's brought me through. I've been through a lot of trials, I've been through a lot of tribulations and a lot of tests, but now I've learned that without a test, there's no testimony. I've learned that everything that I went through was absolutely necessary because the life that I have now, I had to go through that to be mature, responsible, appreciative. So it was all a learning process. I'm not the shy behind the scenes girl that I thought I was. I'm very able to be out, open, speaking, sharing my testimony, and trying to be an example. I have 8 sons and I have a daughter. So I feel like to my sons, it's my due diligence to teach them the type of wife they should have and how they should treat and respect their wife. And to my daughter, I feel like I need to teach her how to conduct, how to carry herself, what things that, she should allow and accept, and what things she needs to stand her ground on and absolutely not allow.
Okay. Thank you for that. When I was reading your bio, I also went on because I understand that you are also an inspirational coach, and
Mm-hmm.
went on your website to learn more about the services that you offer. So you cater mostly to women, correct?
Yes.
And so I derived the theme, fixing your crown in 2021, and I mentioned transparency because you have your Transparent Tuesday, and I appreciate
Mm-hmm.
you for being on the show. And as we talked about before we got on, one of the things that we both pray for is that we're able uh, to serve as inspiration and to others, right, and enlighten
Yes.
others. And you also help women with rising up and trusting their strengths and
Mm-hmm.
self-discovery. Could you tell us a little bit? Maybe we can talk about rising up. What does that mean?
Rising up. So every once in a while, we as women find ourselves in dark places. We're so loving. We always want to be there to take care of everybody else. But sometimes people forget about us. They forget that we have feelings. They forget that the strong one falls sometimes. So when we find ourselves in that dark place, and it may creep up on us and we might not realize it until it's a little too late, but rising up is just basically rising up out of that place, rising up out of that darkness. It may be depression, it may be um, insecurities, but to rise up and to realize you are a queen. We all, as far as I'm concerned, all women are queens. And we all have those moments to where our crowns may be a little crooked, it may be a little tilted, and we need a little help putting it back straight. So rising up as the queen that you are and realizing that some of those things we have to go through, it's necessary, it's a lesson. Once you learn the lesson, you decide which way you're going to proceed from there, and just be the queen and rise up. Put your put your crown back straight. Get your head back up straight. Because a lot of times you can tell when a woman is going through something because she kind of keeps her head down. No, we got to rise out of that and hold our head up high.
Yes, and then also, so for me, rising up, once you're up, right? So
Mm-hmm.
body language, my crown is fixed. Rising up is also, like you said, trusting your strengths, right? So some of us are in a space where we are in the middle of depression, or we're coming out of depression, or we're healing, recovery, and then a lot of us are grieving, feeling sorry for ourselves, or in various stages. But
Mm-hmm.
and we're all different. We all do have our different life experiences, and we come from different backgrounds. But that's not the current place where everyone is at right now. I'm currently not in that space. And so so for me, rising up is for me to trust my strengths, for me to continue to grow, and to learn from others and to help others and continue to do my self-assessment, change my mind when I want to. And just to keep, I'm kind of, I guess I'm segueing into my New Year's resolution, which these are not just, I just have goals. I have life goals,
Mhm.
things that, just who I want to be, who I am, where I'm going, the things that I want to accomplish. And for me, it's just rising up, is just staying true to myself and understanding, like, I'm going to have certain bad days. I'm going to have a self-doubt, but just to
Mhm.
continue to speak positive to myself, and just to remember that I am wearing a crown and that I'm Shawnta Jackson and I should be proud of myself, and to remind myself of my accomplishments, right?
Absolutely.
Because
Absolutely.
Right, because you have some people that you encounter. Sometimes it's yourself and it's your mind. Sometimes
Mhm.
you can be your worst enemy. But sometimes you will encounter people, like you said, people are going to test you, or there's going to be situations where you're going to be tested, right? And
Mhm.
so I think that's why it's important for you to know what your values are and
Yes.
who you are, and your morals, and stick to your integrity. So in those tough times, like, okay, this is just temporary. This is just a test, but this is who I am, and this is what I'm working towards, and this is why I'm doing it. And this is why I'm
And
doing
I think also to piggyback off of that, setting healthy boundaries, because a lot of times, well, I'm going to say for Francis, I used to be just yes, 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 yes. And after the fact, behind closed doors, I was dealing with being that yes person. So I have learned that I need to set healthy boundaries because I do have a previous history of battling with mental health. And it's still an ongoing battle. So I cannot allow myself to be tempted or put into situations to where I get hurt and it's so much pain and it's hard for me to deal with. And that's a temptation for cutting or suicide or slipping into depression. So I have to set healthy boundaries and let people know what I will accept from them, what I'm not willing to accept, and learning how to say no without an explanation. Any of us have the right to say no, and we don't owe an explanation for that. And women have the tendency to want to overlove and to please everybody, and we don't think about ourselves. And given the situation that we're going through in life right now, we need to stay healthy. We need to take care of ourselves. We're important. We matter just as much as everybody else. And if we're too busy trying to cater to everybody else, make everybody else feel comfortable, and we don't think about ourselves, what do we have left for ourselves? Because at the end of the day, eventually our kids are going to grow up and they're going to move out of the home. Whoever we may have been mentoring or teaching, everyone matures and they grow. And then when you're left and it's just you, what do you have left for yourself? Do you even know who yourself is? Are you able to look into the mirror? Or did you lose yourself so much that you have to go and find who you are? And that's what I had to do. And I had to slowly learn to set boundaries. And some people are like, oh, that's controlling, or oh, you're mean, or no, it's not about being mean. It's not about being controlling. It's about, if you don't set healthy boundaries, you find yourself in situations, sometimes good, sometimes bad, sometimes temptation, you're not able to resist it. So you need to set healthy boundaries and always stay healthy for yourself. Protect your mind, protect your peace. And that's when the no comes in without an explanation. We don't have to feel guilty to say no. And I think that's been my biggest lesson of 2020, is that I can say no and I can set boundaries and I don't have to feel guilty about it. I can say no, I don't want to, without having to explain myself, without having to feel guilty or feel sorry, because I used to be that yes person. Now I'm like, no, I can't do it. I'm sorry. And that's just it.
Right, or even just the I'm sorry. But for those of us, we all have, and creating those healthy boundaries and in saying no, some of us are not used to doing that. And so
Mm-hmm.
some of the things that I like to tell, like if I'm facilitating a course, especially with teens, and sometimes we have to practice this, and you just
Yes.
practice saying no, right? And so
Yes.
sometimes it's no, and then sometimes, and you might want to, so some people you say no to, you care about them, you love them, you want to maintain
Mm-hmm.
a relationship. You're just saying no to that ask, or you're just saying no, not right now. So I think it's
Right.
a way to add no, not right now. Or if someone is asking Like people assume that you have money or someone wants to borrow some money. No, I don't have it to give.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's okay to have some type of explanation with your no if you're not necessarily comfortable with just saying no, or if you feel like, you know what, I still do want to maintain a healthy relationship with this person. And you are correct that we should not be people pleasers, right? And
Mm-hmm.
and saying no is actually an example or a testament to your mental strength and your mental capacity to be true to yourself and your own self-awareness and emotional intelligence.
Yes.
And
It's um So we were all born in this world by ourselves, right? And when that day comes, it's going to be us and God, and we're responsible for the things that we do. And I believe that for us to be able to live up to our full potential, to the full purpose that God has created for each one of us, because it's all individually different, we have to be in a healthy space. We can't um, perform the task or correctly help another person, save a soul, you might say, or just do whatever it is that he wants us to do if we're not healthy mentally. Because then it's like, okay, who's talking to me? Is it God talking to me? Is it my mind talking to me? You know what I mean? So you have to be in a healthy space to be even to hear God. And in being in that healthy space, you're able to hear him. You're able to do the task that he wants you to do. None of us are perfect. We're never going to be perfect. But I just mean healthy. And that's very important, especially with COVID going on and these restrictions, and you can only move a certain way. You can only, set a small gathering. And if you're going to travel, the mask and different things like that. For some people that are social butterflies and they're used to being around a bunch of people and talking to a lot of people, this is very hard. This is something they feel like they're isolated or, claustrophobic may slip in. So being healthy is very, very, very important.
yes, yes. So I'm sorry, not self-isolation. The feeling of being isolated is
Mm-hmm.
is real. Um, yeah, it really is. And just really quick, I want to check in on, let's see who's watching. We have Tamika Thomas. Tamika is checking in from California. Thank you for joining, Tamika. And
Hi.
and Tamika, you and I, she's a previous guest, and and Tamika is a motivational and inspirational speaker as well, and she's also a life coach for women. And Tamika, you and I, we are supposed to have a live chat on Instagram, so I'm waiting for you to schedule that. I just called you out. Um, we have Shantu checking in, my close friend Shantu, and he's in Prince George's County, Maryland. And he says, greetings, and for us to continue sharing and uplifting with knowledge and love. And then we have, of course, my number one fan, my mother. She's watching from Las Vegas, and this is her message to you, Francis.
Thank you so much. And Happy New Year's to you as well.
Yes, thank you. So how do you help the women that you work with, your clients? How do you help them to identify their strengths? Like, what are some of the activities or conversations that you have with them?
So I have not had an official client as of yet.
Mhm.
However, I do have a lot of close friends, and I always tell them to start trusting their instincts. Think about the one thing that you have always been naturally gifted at since you were a child, and that one thing that you can't let go of. For example, I've always wanted to be an attorney. I've always wanted to defend people. Like, I'm quick to try to protect. And I've been like that since I was a kid. And I lost my way for a while and I stopped going to school. I graduated high school when I was 16 and a half years old. Here I am, 33, just now finishing my bachelor's and going to start law school. But
Congratulations.
thank you. In that time, that instinct never let go. Like, it kept bugging at me and it kept egging at me, like, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. You're not fulfilling your purpose. You're not doing that one thing. And I found my way back. Despite what was going on in life, I found my way back to the true love and the true passion that I had. So I tell my friends and I tell those that ask me for advice, trust your instincts. Think about it. one thing is, when we're supposed to do something and it's a God-given gift, it's not going to go away. It's going to nag and it's going to tug at you until you start walking it out and going through the things that you have to do in order to fulfill it. So just sit back, clear your mind and think about that one thing. And then usually they're like, oh, I know what you're talking about. And oh, you're right, because it'll come to you fast because it keeps tugging at you. If you're a nurse and you just did it because it was easy, it was quick to get a job, and it pays well, but your heart and your soul is to be a psychologist, it's going to keep tugging and it's going to keep nagging at you that, and you're going to see people come to me and I give them great advice. I'm good at coaching people. I'm good at leading people through a situation or through a problem. So it's going to come back to you and you're going to figure it out and be like, okay, this is what I need to be doing. This is what I should be doing instead of what I'm actually doing right now.
Okay. And so what you speak to is kind of like that path of self-discovery.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's why I called it 30 days of self-discovery, because it is self-discovery. And like I said earlier, in a way, well, I lost myself. So I had to rediscover who Frances was. I had to rediscover my passion. I had to discover my likes, my dislikes, what I'm good at, what I'm not good at, what frightens me, what eggs me on, what is a challenge to me, what's going to help me growth, what's going to stagnate me, what could lead me back into depression, what can make me sad. Like I had to rediscover. And sometimes it's needed. Sometimes you need to rediscover yourself and do a self-evaluation, because with life and the things that happen and how conniving the enemy is, you can lose it and don't even realize that you've lost yourself and just live in a routine, not being happy, not having any joy, and don't realize it until something happens and you're like, dang. Like after my divorce, that's when I realized I didn't know who Frances was, because I was just living life as, being the wife, being the mom, going to work, just doing a normal routine. And once we got a divorce, it was like, okay, now it's just me and my kids. Well, who am I? I know who my kids are, but who is Frances? What does Frances like to do? I would go to the nail shop and, as me being a wife, oh, I'm going to get my nails the way my husband would like it. Well, I don't have a husband anymore. So what color do I like? How do I like my nails? Simple things like that. So it's important to spend the time to invest in yourself and know who you are.
I like that you said that. Thank you for sharing that example. I like the fact that you said, and this is true, I went to the nail salon and I got the colors that my husband liked, and no longer my husband. So what color do I like? What do I want to do? Right? How do I want to wear my nails? How do I want to wear my hair? What colors look good on me? I really appreciate that example, and it does resonate with me. And we also have checking in. We have Donica Beckett, and she's checking in from an undisclosed location. Thank you, sister girl. And she's grateful for the authentic conversation. And Donica, we are grateful to you and for all
Yes,
of
thank
work.
you.
Yes, and for everything that you done, Donica, just who you are as a person. I've been watching you. Donica and I first met in grad school 2010 at UNLV, and we're both public health professionals, public health majors, and she's doing a lot in the field right now. She's doing a lot for individuals, for people, for women, as far as empowerment, but then also just as a public health professional and helping to keep us safe. So thank you. So she's one of our heroes. Your book, Marrying Outside of God's Will. So you mentioned marriage, divorce, but from my understanding, you are currently married. You're married again? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us a little bit about just that title, Marrying Outside of God's Will, and if we were to purchase your book, what we can expect to learn.
So the title, Marrying Outside of God's Will, is exactly what I did. Before I got married, I prayed and I asked God about it, and God told me no. And at the time, I was disobedient, and I said, well, if he's going to marry somebody, it's going to be me. After everything that I've been through, I deserve the title, which is true. I do deserve the title of being a wife. However, I was not meant to be his wife. And I always say on any interview that I do that asks me about marrying outside of God's will, I feel like because of my disobedience, I allowed the enemy to come in through all of us, me, him, our kids. And I strongly, strongly believe that when any man or any woman is married to dating the wrong person, they're not able to their full potential doesn't come out. They're full who they are. It's a lot of friction, it's a lot of fighting, it's a lot of mistakes that happen because they're not with their soulmate. They're not with who God created them to be with. And when you find who you're supposed to be with, you start to blossom, you start to mature, you start to make changes, and you guys learn to love each other. You guys through it, through the because it's a process. Marriage is a process. Maturing, and when you actually find that right person, it's a process. It's not always perfect. It's tears, it's prayers, it's disagreements. It's a lot. Marriage is not something that is easy, and especially when you're married to the wrong person, the 100% that you would give if you were married to the right person, you're not going to give it. You're not going to give your, you'll be quick to be like, oh, whatever, forget this, I don't want it. Or you're quick to fight against it. The enemy has the room to try to destroy it. Like, it's a lot of things that happen when you're not with the right person versus when you are with the right person. So that's how the title came about. I was disobedient and I married when I was not supposed to. And I strongly believe that when my ex-husband finds his wife, the one that God made for him, he's going to be that man that God intended him to be. Um, the book is my testimony. I, as you said, went through a lot of trials, a lot of tribulations, a lot of mistakes. And I've always tried to find my relationship with God, I guess you could say, be who God wanted me to be, find out what my purpose was. And in trying to find that purpose, trying to see where I fit in the body of Christ, I had life happen. I had kids. I was homeless. I went to jail. I dealt with domestic violence. There was fighting between me and the other kid's mom. Like, there was a lot that went on. And I shared that testimony. It wasn't, my book was a God given assignment. Francis never thought of being an author. I never thought of everything that I'm doing right now. It was not a part of my plan, but it was a part of his plan. Um, I got on a prayer line one time and this prophet told me that I need to finish writing the book. And mind you, only like two people knew I was even writing it. And he said, there's souls waiting for you to write it. And you need to put everything, don't be ashamed, because I was starting to write it, but I was holding things back because I was afraid of judgment. And he said, you need to put everything in there. And then he described the way the book should have, the cover should look. And after that, I just started writing it and I didn't really hold anything back. So it's very transparent. Um, I do not have it in the Christian books. It's a memoir because as I grow, the language in the book grows. I'm a hot mess in the beginning. So my language is a hot mess. What I'm going through is a hot mess. It's a lot going on. But as I grow and I mature and I start to go through life and I go through these trials and God shows up time after time, and I go through these tribulations and God continues to save me. He continues to give me grace. He continues, even after my disobedience, he continues to show up and show out. I just grow, but I go through. Anytime that there's growth, you have to be stretched. But I made bad decisions. So a lot of it I feel like I brought upon myself, but I still feel like it was necessary. It had to happen. I had to go through it for me to be at my next, to be where I'm at now. So that's Marrying Outside of God's Will. It's my memoir. It's all factual. None of it is made up. I lived through all of it. Um, and it was necessary. And I feel like my testimony now that I've accepted the assignment and I'm walking it out and I've done it, I feel like it was necessary because other women need to know you're not the only one. Men need to know the other side of the situation because that I believe there's always three sides. It's your side, his side, and the truth. So I think that my book, if a man reads my book, he'll look at it from a different perspective as to what a woman goes through in this situation versus just what a man goes through in the situation. And I also feel that it touches, like, everyone that has actually read the book and they have left me a comment or they have given me feedback, they tell me, oh, I've gone through every emotion reading this book. Where is part two? Are you going to make a movie? Like, I was just so transparent and I just put it all out there. And it's a testament to people. You're not alone and there's a next. There's an after the trials, after the tribulations, after falling on your face, after all of the mistakes, after being disobedient, there is still a next. And if God can do it for me, he's not a perspective person, so he can do it for you as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your testimony and for your transparency. Everyone, if you are interested in purchasing Frances's book, visit her website. It's on the screen, godswillministries.com. So again, it's on the screen, and I'll make sure that I show it again before we sign off. And while you were speaking, Jimmy Denson from Las Vegas, he's heavy in the comments, and while you were speaking, he said he figured out the same thing in 2010 after his divorce, and that in the world. So you are touching both men and women.
Yeah, marrying outside of God's will, it's not just for women, it's for men as well, because as I said, there's always a different perspective. And just because the author of the book is a woman doesn't mean the message of the book only has to be for women.
I agree. I 100% agree. And I'm having that same experience as well, with my book, and just with the programming and everything that I'm doing, because I am a woman and I only can speak about my experiences, right? I think that what I have to say, it's universal. And it even resonates with younger adults and teenagers too. It all depends, because again, we all have different life experiences and different backgrounds. So sometimes a traditional 14-year-old or traditional 15-year-old are not so traditional. It depends on what city you've grown up in and what your circumstances are. And you actually have teen parents, and so they are responsible. So the same responsibility that I have for my son and the same responsibility that you have to your children, there are teenagers who are ultimately they're learning them, that it's kind of like fast forward, right? And they're still responsible for the little one. So a lot of the things that we do say, again, I think it's universal. When you were speaking, there's a few things that you said. So when you were talking about marriage, and you were saying that marriage is a process, right? I think that life is a process. And when you choose to marry someone, I think it's important to understand that as an individual, you're going to grow and you're going to change. And change is good as long as it's for the better. That person is going to grow and change as well. And you're merging lives. And so that means your interests may change. That means your style may change. You may have some awakening or some awareness. You're now pursuing your law degree. And when you met him, I assume that you weren't at the time pursuing your law degree.
No.
And so just who you are, you're evolving. So I just want to kind of put that out there, because I hear people say, as this person, they changed. And there's nothing wrong with change. And for me, one of the reasons why I left my marriage and why I sought divorce is because the person that I was married to did not change. And asked, like, why did you leave? So yeah, it was an unhealthy relationship. And yes, there was control and abuse that occurred, but there were times where I was very happy and I was in love with this person as well, right? But people ask me what happened, and especially like if I'm dating, I'm just now in 2020 being transparent and using my platform to share my story. But previously, I'll just say things like, I changed. That's why we're not together anymore. Like, I changed. I got tired of that situation. I wanted growth. I wanted something else in life. And I don't communicate with him on a regular basis, and I hope and the same wish that you have for your ex-husband is that you want them to prosper and to be well. You have children by this man, so you want him to prosper in life, because your children are going to benefit from that, and you want your children to benefit from that relationship. And so,
not just that, he's a man, and my sons are, they're going to grow up and they're going to be men. One thing that I have to say that I'm grateful to my current husband is he's from a different walk of life than my ex-husband. So he's teaching the boys things that they wouldn't have learned from their father. And I'm grateful for that. But I also want to see my sons know my dad made these mistakes, but look at him now. Like, he matured. He's a healthy man. And that's one thing that I feel that young men lack, is healthy men in their life. Having healthy men in their lives makes a tremendous difference, because as women, it's only so much we can teach them. We can teach them respect, we can teach them values. But as far as actually being a man, I have never been a man, so I cannot teach them that. Just like my husband has never been a woman, so he cannot teach our daughter how to be a woman. That is something that I have to teach her. But just showing our sons, yes, it didn't work between, me and your mom, but I'm healthy and I'm thriving, and I have these healthy things going on in life. You can do it too. Those are examples that I would like for them, for it to be set. And I'm strongly against women that does the bashing of the ex and all that other stuff, because I feel you were with this person at one point in time. And if you guys have multiple children, you knew exactly who this person was when you had the first kid, and you chose to go back. So what are you saying about yourself if you're bashing someone that you were with and you used to be in love with? I don't do that. No matter how angry I get, I'm not going to bash him. I made mistakes. He made mistakes. It wasn't meant to be. So we both have to go our separate ways. But at the same time, we still have children that we have to raise. I don't want my kids to hate him. I don't want my kids to hate me, because I've put all these negative things into them, and then they grow up and find out that it's not true. So I believe kids are not dumb. They're not stupid. They have eyes, they have ears, they see what's going on. I don't have to add to that. They see if he calls, if he doesn't. They see if he shows up and if he doesn't. And they determine their relationship from there. My wish is, and this goes for every relationship, baby daddy, baby mama, mother of children, father of children, people like to use different titles, is that they're able to have healthy relationships with their children without the influence of the other parent, because that's just bitterness and that's anger from their feelings. That has nothing to do with the child. The child is an innocent party in the situation. The way you may feel about your ex, that needs to be between you and the ex. The children don't need to be involved in it. They don't need to be manipulated. They don't need to be trained. They don't need to, the toxicness poured into them. Let them build their own relationship if it's a possibility for there to be one. And even if it's not, I tell my kids to pray for their dad. And I tell my kids, be patient. Just because what happened last time doesn't mean it's going to happen this time. Do I have my own feelings, and do I feel a certain type of way sometimes? Absolutely. But that's not for me to teach them and for me to tell them. They need to figure that out for themselves. They need to make their own opinion. And I do not have the right to form that for them. And what type of woman would I be to bash this man? And I was with this man for 12 and a half years. I didn't have just one, but we have 7 sons together. So I knew exactly who he was, and I chose to stay. So no, I don't believe that any woman or even any man has the right to do that, because that says about a lot about you, your character, and your choices. You knew what you were dealing with. You chose to stay. You guys have kids now. Don't pour that into the kids and make the kids unhealthy. If anything, pour love into them. So when that parent does come around, they're able to love. You never know what the godly love that you have into you and you pour into someone else may affect someone else. And that's just my beliefs on it.
Strong beliefs and good beliefs. I'll respond to the chat, to the comments in a second, but one of the things that you mentioned that I kind of want to add to is what you say to your children. And I recently told my son, and I'm in the process of writing my second book, and
Mm-hmm.
so it's part 2 of the Journal of a Woman with Lived Experiences. And so it's 21 of my personal journal entries, and I actually provide prompts and I leave space for the reader to write as well. And so my first journal entry is my story of resilience. And I recently, again, I'm working on part 2. So I'm kind of expounding or responding to some of my journal entries to let my readers know, if I currently feel the same way, if I've grown, if I've changed, what has changed, or if I want to just expound just on the topic in general. And one of the things that I mentioned is that when my son was he had to be about 6 years old. And young children, they have these fantasies about their parents and about their father. And I remember us driving, and I said, "You know, your dad loves you, right?" And he said, "Yes." I said, "Sometimes he just doesn't know how." But
That's true.
yeah, I said,
So
"But
true.
yeah, but he does love you." And he says, "Oh, I know." Like he knew. And so I thought about that conversation that we had from when he was 6 years old, and now he's 16. And I just thought about that last week. And then also last week, it was time for us to have a small talk or a little conversation. And I told him, that sometimes people mature, people change.
Hmm.
You accept your dad for who he is, and
Right.
and you set your expectations. And like you said, children are smart, and I'm raising a latchkey, independent child. He works. He's not. This is a very, very independent, mature 16-year-old. Where I actually, if I unfortunately, I don't want to, but if I left this earth, he would take care of himself. And so, I just tell him, just about his expectations, and just be honest and true with yourself, and just accept people, and accept your father, accept your family, whoever it is, your siblings. Just accept people for who they are, and understand who they are, and understand that some people do mature and change. Also, some people don't change, and some people never
Right.
mature, and some people end up being old fools. But that's not
Hmm.
for you to, you just, for your sake and for your sanity, again, understand people for who they are, accept them for who they are, and just understand that sometimes people do change. So I'll check in really quick in the comments. We have Kristen. Kristen's checking in from Las Vegas, and she is a single mom motivator. Hey, Kristen, Happy New Year. And we have Raquel checking in from Las Vegas as well, from North Las Vegas. And she says, absolutely. Your kids will tell you some things that you hadn't noticed about your ex. And if you keep communication open and honest, yes. And then we have City Dawn official checking in from Uganda, East Africa. Great discussion. Thank you, City Dawn official, for checking in. And then we also have another brother from our motherland. We have Falconster Alley, and he's also in Uganda. And he says, "God bless you, Mrs. Shawnta and Mrs. Francis Dupree." So I am Miss. I am not married. And Mrs. Francis Dupree is correct. And thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you.
And I'm very grateful to have connected with everyone on social media, on Facebook. And I'm glad that we're able to just around the world. You never know who you connect with, and who can inspire you, and vice versa.
Right.
You. And thanks, Kristen, for your comment. And she says she loves all the gems and the transparency. Is there anything that I said that you kind of want to pick up on and speak to?
Um, I mean, what you said is true. Like what you were telling your son, sometimes we set expectations that people can't reach. We don't know the situation or what someone may be going through. So when you set an expectation and they're not able to reach it, in a way, it's like an unfair advantage to them. And that's something that we have to live with. My thing is, you have the phone number, you know how to reach them. If you want to see them, you know how to make it happen. And I just leave it at that. I don't put any more input or any thought into that. Um, and the reason that I feel that way is because when I was younger, my mom used to tell me a lot about my dad. I was a foster kid, but I always stayed in communication with my mom. And when I actually met my father, I hated him based on what she told me. And I felt bad because he met me and was genuinely open hearted to our relationship. And I purposely sabotaged it because of the hate based on what she said, to later find out he's not who she said. He was not who she said he was. And I had a little resentment towards my mom because of that. So that is why I feel the way that I do, and I don't put the negative into my kids. I let them see for themselves and let them make their own judgment because of my mistake that I made. That's why I feel, it's all about learning, and we all go through things for a reason. I didn't know I was going to have kids and, end up in the situations I am. But even though it hurt, I'm thankful for what I went through, because now I know, okay, I'm not going to be this way with my kids, because I don't want them for the end result. I don't want it, we can think as a mother or even as a father that's single, putting all this hate into our kid, and then it backfires. Well, you told me this, but that wasn't true. My dad was going through something, or my mom was going through something, and she had to get better, get healthy, get stable, get situated. And now she's okay, or he's okay, and he wants that relationship. But I hated him and I messed it up because of you. You never, ever want that.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. And before we end, I actually want to transition back into us. So this is definitely a part of it, fixing our crown, right?
Mm-hmm.
So fixing our crown in 2021, self-discovery, gratitude, positive affirmations. Let's end the conversation on that. Let's end the conversation on gratitude, positive affirmations, the importance of. But if you don't mind, just sharing, and I'll share as well, but what is it that you are grateful for? And everyone in the audience, what is it that you are grateful for?
I am grateful that I never gave up. As many times as I wanted to, and as hard as it got, as many tears as I cried, as many times as I thought that I was losing my mind, I still fought. The little piece that I had, God gave me the strength when I needed it, and I never gave up. And I'm grateful for that, because if I would have given up, the now, it wouldn't have happened. The people that are being helped, the life that my children are living right now, my first love that I'm married to, none of that would have happened if I would have given up. In regards to the positive affirmations, I strongly, strongly believe life and death are in the power of the tongue. So if you are speaking death, back to saying what I was about the kids, sometimes parents get angry. You're going to be like your dad, or you're dumb, you're stupid. Those things are said. They grew up and they believe that, and that's what they walk into. So I believe in speaking positive. My kids do some stuff sometimes and I get frustrated. I'm like, what you did was dumb. You're not dumb, but that thing that you just did, that was really dumb. So I believe in speaking positive. I tell them, you guys will not be statistics. You're going to graduate high school. You're going to go to college or military or something to, be positive. So I always speak the positive. I tell my daughter every day, you're beautiful, you're successful, you're intelligent. So I believe in speaking positive, and then you end up with that positive result. Even if you're going through something negative at the moment, you're in a trial, you're in a tribulation, I'm going to get through this. Instead of, the I'm going to fail or I can't do it. The I can't is so powerful. And we have to be mindful of that. We have to be really, really mindful of the I can't. And I'm still learning that, because I slip from time to time. But I always tell my kids, don't speak death, speak life. You can do this. Take God into every situation. That's the most important key, and the most important aspect is taking him into everything. Because when we try to do it ourselves, we mess it up. But when we bring God into it and we actually trust him and we do what we can and we let him handle the rest, it's nothing but victory, no matter how long it takes. Learning patience and going through the process is important as well. But positivity is the key thing. Don't speak the negative. Don't speak the I can't, I won't. I just positive. The important thing is get through today. And once you get through today, get through tomorrow. Try to make tomorrow better than today. Try to make today better than yesterday. But getting through today is the first step.
Yes, everyone, thank you. Frances Dupree, and her website is on the screen, godswillministries.com, and you can purchase a copy of her book on all platforms, and then also you can go directly to this website to purchase a copy. Again, all platforms, her book is available. And so let's go to the comments again, everyone. What are you grateful for? We have Taryn checking in from Las Vegas. He says he's loving this conversation. And thank you, Jimmy. I'm grateful for you as well. He says, I'm grateful for Shawnta Jackson. Donica says, I'm grateful for Black women sharing their stories to help heal our communities.
Yes.
And then my mother, she says she's grateful and thankful for me, and much awaited success and accomplishments. And she's grateful for my brother and my niece, and for life and family. And I think it's Lisa Nichols. A few years ago, I was watching her speak on YouTube, or it might have been one of her free master classes, and she was saying that every day you should say at least 5 things that you are grateful for. And at the time, what I did is on my refrigerator, and I had like this small little whiteboard, and
Mm-hmm.
I wrote the 5 things that I was grateful for. And I just continued to repeat that to myself and say it out loud, so that way I can hear it. And that way I'm putting it out in the universe and God can hear it, and I'm making it real. But one of the things that I encourage people to do, an exercise in my book, is for you to actually do that. Write a little post-it, and you can tape it on your mirror, on your door, on your refrigerator, wherever you frequent. Sometimes I put signs or little messages to myself at my door. I know I'm going to see it, right?
Right.
But and it eventually it will become a habit, and then you can do it throughout different times of the day. But just to kind of get started, put a note and remind yourself to say
Mm-hmm.
what you are grateful for, and to say it out loud so that you can hear it and so that you can feel it. Because the things that you say, the information, even this conversation today, is feeding into your subconscious. So you also want to be
Yes.
mindful about the messages and the things that you say to yourself, and from the messages from others as well, right? So on a positive note, expressing gratitude, it also helps with our mental health, and our wellness. And when you are in a space of gratitude, and when you are in a good headspace in general, that's good for your physical body as well,
Mm-hmm.
right? In the breathing. And definitely, in addition to gratitude, your positive affirmations. I am proud of myself. I am worthy. I am smart. I am intelligent. I am beautiful inside out. I,
Mm-hmm.
I contribute. I matter. I have a lot to share in the world. And these are things that I'm saying about myself, but you should be saying the same things about yourself as well. So
Right.
definitely practice gratitude and positive affirmation. I'm grateful for this moment, and I'm actually, especially now. I mean, we should always. I think 2020, hopefully, a lot of people, it has raised just your level of awareness. Um, I a neighbor. He was in his early 30s, and he just passed away in the past couple of days from a heart attack.
Oh wow.
And he was a
I
personal
didn't hear that.
yeah, and so just a different thing, it's like, oh, so and so passed away, so and so has COVID, or a family member. I had a family member pass away from coronavirus, and others, a lot of us. And it's just kind of like, you know what? I'm grateful to
Mm-hmm.
be here. I'm grateful for my lessons. I'm grateful for growth. I'm grateful for opportunity. I can change my mind. I'm grateful that I can literally say, you know what, I'm not going to think like that today, or this is moving forward. I didn't do this yesterday, but this is my plan for this week. And this is my plan for today. And this is how I'm going to start my day off. I'm grateful that I'm able to right my wrongs, and I'm still here so that's just, I can keep going and going, but that's just one of the things that I'm really grateful for. And I'm grateful for this platform. And I'll close out with Jimmy. He says, I'm grateful for God allowing me to be selfish for me, had to help me to be a better me, to be a better complement to that woman to come in my life. So
Wow.
we'll end on that note. I'm really appreciative of this conversation, and I was thinking about this. I didn't prepare much in advance.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just thinking, like I was telling you about my self-care routine that I did this morning with my bath and my mask and my cleanse and my spiritual. I burnt the candle, and the candle that I'm using, you can actually use the oil in your skin. It's a soy oil, soy based, and shea butter. So I put that
Okay.
on like the candle right now. I'm feeling good about myself. And I hope that you all are too. Happy 2021. Just continue to grow and be the best person that you can. And for those who, and focus on yourself, but then also be supportive to others. And if you notice that someone around you is trying to change and trying to do something different and better, respect that person and respect their process as well. And that's how you can be a contributor to not just yourself, but to others. Everyone, again, Happy New Year. I'm Shawnta Jackson. My purpose in life is to help people to help themselves and others. You can learn more about me at shawntajackson.com. I look forward to continuing to communicate with you throughout the year.